Greetings YouTube. I just wanted to make this video because I recently came into the ownership of this MN12 Thunderbird. Now, the only real problem I encountered with this vehicle so far that was challenging to fix is doing the power steering pressure hose on this rack, because it's got a bunch of funky fittings on it because of the way that this 302 5-liter sits in here. It's different if you have a 4.6 or a turbo 3.8 or an NA 3.8. This is for the 5-liter. So what I found out is, to do this properly, you're going to have to drop the front part of the exhaust out. You can get to all of the nuts on these flanges with a 1/2-inch impact with a reducer to use a 3/8 15mm socket. And that will let you get to this one here, which normally lives, there's like a little tiny slot here between the catalytic converter and the flange. A 1/2-inch extension won't fit up in there, but if you use a reducer and a 3/8 extension, you can put it in down here after the cat and kind of slide it up along here and pop it on here and get it off with the impact. And so far I haven't sheared a socket doing that yet. You might break a socket, but it'll be worth the peace of mind, because you're going to spend a lot of time struggling with it if you try and use a 1/2-inch extension. And then I found out there's a very specific order you do this in. I removed the driver's side tie rod on mine to do this. I don't really know that it's necessary, actually. So what's going to happen is, you're going to put in this return line here. You're going to drop the rack down. I already did it, and I kind of have this in a special position, so I'm not going to drop it again. But you drop the rack like all the way down, and you can get to this fitting. You can get to this fitting easily, and you can turn it in there. I noticed that the Edelman replacement part, I think they messed up on the threads. I think that it's either, I think it's 9/16, but I think that they did a 20 if the thing is an 18, or 18 if the thing is a 20, because you're going to encounter a lot of resistance turning this in, but it will go in, and it appears to seal properly with that Teflon O-ring. Then what you're going to do is, you're going to get the rack about where I have it, and you're going to hang this side with mechanics wire so it doesn't just completely fall down on you and flip over while you're trying to get the swivel fitting in. What I learned that nobody seemed to talk about when repairing these is, it seems the correct order is, when you get your new hose, on this end, the end that goes to the rack, there's this O-ring fitting, normal O-ring, not plastic. And it seems like the easiest way to do this is, you take this fitting with the O-ring in it and the Teflon steel part of it, and you thread it into this swivel fitting while it's out on the bench. And if you have the rack like I do right now, you can take this fitting. It might be a little bit tricky to do with one hand. You probably can see what I'm getting at though. You put it up just high enough that this tube is clearing the K-member, and then you can take this tube and sort of thread it in, and you have about enough room here to get a wrench in there. If you can see it, you have about enough room to get a wrench in there to tighten this down. I can't really do it one-handed, but you can do that. And then when you lift the rack up into position, you can swivel this around, and you can screw this O-ring fitting into the hose. And that way, if you screw up and something snags, you just have to replace this rubber O-ring, which you can get anywhere, versus the Teflon plastic O-rings, which are like a specialty part, and you can probably find them, but not everybody's gonna have them, and they're a real pain to install. So this way you get a little extra insurance if you make a small mistake or you snag something, that you can just replace this O-ring. And then the steering side of it is pretty self-explanatory. The hose kind of, when it's up in there, it's gonna live. There's a couple different ways you can route this, honestly. I'm probably just going to do the easiest way, which is like that, sort of. I'm not going to put it all the way up in there because it's kind of tricky to get in there, but it'll live kind of like that, I guess. And it's pretty self-explanatory from then onwards. I just wanted to make this video because I did not see a good guide on how to do this visually. There was a lot of write-ups, but there wasn't a good video on how to do this for the 5 liter. I guess a lot more of these came with the modulars, or people like the modular more, so these went away. I'm not sure. That's all there is to it, really.